Shalom Aleichem. We are talking about the Sicha of Pekudei Gimel, which is based on two Farbrengens, of Tafshin Chav Dalid and of Tafshin Chav Zayin. So in Tafshin Chav Dalid, the Rebbe said the Sicha. As you can see, I'm sharing the screen. And over here you have the short version of what the Sicha is. That V'haloi Sa'anan is shaykh to Parshas Ba'aleischa. Why is it in this week's Parsha? And the way that interrupts between Pekudei and Vayikra. And the Rebbe then said, not only to the opinion that says the Parshas Vayikra was said in Shmini L'Miluim, that based on that it goes on Seder Zmanim, and then definitely it shouldn't have been something about to do with travels because that wasn't applicable yet and it wasn't what's going on. But even according to the Deah that says the Parshas Vayikra is before Shmini L'Miluim, and the Parshas are not Lefi Sidra, nevertheless it should have some kind of flow. Why? There's a flow, even if it's not a chronological flow. And then the Rebbe, as you can see, has quite a big point that he brought out that didn't make it into Farbrengen. The Rebbe said like this, that Behektim will introduce the idea that's brought in Nigla, and especially in Sifrei Musar, and even more in Sifrei Chassidus, that by Yidden there has to be Mailim B'Kodesh, not only step by step, but rather dilug, jumping. That's the true hiluch, that's the true going, that you go to a level which is incomparable to the level you were before that. And the greater the elevation, the more you have to grow even more and more and more. And that's the point of the story in Torah. And after they built the Mishkan, Mishkan, and they had Gilui Elikus in the most incredible way, that even Moshe Rabbeinu, the first person who received from the Eibishter, who was higher than the world, Moshe Rabbeinu, and he was higher than Inyan Torah. And therefore, when Hashem told him to take the Yidden out of Mitzrayim as a prelude for Matan Torah, he says, Kvar Peh v'Kvar Lashon Anochi. And the Zohar explains, what does it mean that he was thick in mouth and unable to talk? Kvar Peh v'Torah shebal Peh, Kvar Lashon v'Torah sheb'chsav. He struggled with that. Why? Because he's higher than Torah the way it's in the world. He is from what's called in the Kabbalah Shemitah Rishayna, before the worlds were even created. He couldn't tolerate this Gilui. And this light is higher than what Moshe was able to comprehend. And nevertheless, this light was revealed to everybody. Even Umas Olam were able to see it. So such an incredible light that everybody can even see. Can't even be higher. Says the Torah. You got to continue traveling. You have to go higher. And this is Yitzias Mitzrayim that you have every day. Even after Kved Hashem Aliyas HaMishkan, you have to go to a higher level. So much so that the level that was before is considered Mitzrayim. This is a beautiful vart. Independent of the Sicha we learned, I'm saying it's a beautiful Nekuda you could share at this Shabbos. That even after Kved Hashem Aliyas HaMishkan, which is the most awesome, nevertheless, it wasn't enough. And then the Rebbe was talking about even something that seems like a Yerida is B'Pnimius, it's an Aliyah. Rebbe says, as we know, that Kol Yerid is B'Shvil Aliyah, Sheba Yipol Tzadik V'Kam, that falling is for the sake of going up. And the Rebbe then said that you get higher than the Mishkan, that even that the Gilui Ha'anan is high, that was higher than Yechelus HaMoshe, nevertheless you can get it. That even a Ish Pashat, even a Zana Golos, could go to the level of La Yachal Moshe Lavai, you could go even higher than that. Why? Because the Pshittus of a Yid achieves higher than Moshe Rabbeinu. As we know from the Kesser Shem Tov, that the simplicity, the sincerity of an Ish Pashat literally touches the Pshittus, the absolute purity of Atzmos. And even Moshe Rabbeinu was jealous of an Ish Pashat. So that's what the Farbrengen was in Tafshin Chav Dalid. Then we have the Sicha of Tafshin Chav Zayin. Some of these Nekudas, as you see, were put into the Sicha, and some are not. So we're going to focus on some of the Nekudas. Rebbe was saying then in the Farbrengen, Parshas Pekudei is the end of Sefer Shmos. And we know that the beginning and end are interconnected, so it's connected to the beginning. And the connection is obvious because both of them are talking about minyan. At the beginning, it's Eila Shmos B'nai Yisrael, and after that, it's Pekudei HaMishkan. And the Rebbe said, even though the beginning and end are interconnected, nevertheless, there's still a difference. One's the beginning and one's the end. The beginning is a minyan that happened by Hashem, and that the Eibush does everything. And the minyan of Parshas Pekudei is so fun, it's something that happened by Moshe. That even though he has all the milas, He's not the Eibishter. And it's safe compared to the Eibishter. And let's bring this in Avodah, as we know everything has to come Avodah. It's not understood. What's the big deal about counting? The mile of Yidden is that you can't count them. So what's the point of counting? But the Inyan is that even though we demand a Yid, he should be L'maylam Did of Agbola, there has to be Menakala covered. You start off Medid of Agbola and within limitations, and then you break through. Like, for example, at the beginning of Avodah, which is limited. There's still a Metzias of Yetzirah. The Mechol Nafshecha is the 10 faculties of your nefesh. And only after that can you achieve B'chol Meidecha. And even then, when you achieve B'chol Meidecha, it's about bringing it back into limitations, as we learned in the Sicha. And as you can see, many of the Nakudas were similar, pretty much the same, that made it in to the Sicha. Yeah. Chaim Shalom, and it should only be Atzlacha Rebbe for each and every one of us, and times of Shalom v'Shalva and Yemei Mashiach.